Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, your host, Gavin, and welcome back to the Exhibition of Speed podcast. I wanted to record this one initially with Justin, so it would have both of us here, but I have since changed my mind. And because the first time we started up this podcast, it was just me, I figured it would be a solid return to form to give another monologue here and kind of explain what happened before and what is happening now with us, with the show, with the podcast, with everything. So, back when we started the podcast in 2019, I was way too ambitious and wanted to host a podcast that was 3 episodes a week to start off. Meanwhile, also having a day job and also trying to make videos happen. And it was really too much. I personally keep finding really weird and interesting ways to try to stand apart from everyone else rather than just being myself and just trying to have something to say rather than trying to find something to say. So that was 2019, and we definitely burned ourselves out. Justin and I, have grown in many different ways since then in terms of podcast distribution and content creation and time management and a lot of other areas. And so, yeah, we went from whenever it was, late 2019, mid to late 2019 into 2020. Pandemic happened. There was some weirdness with just like us trying to find out how to do what we need to do. And then we kind of broke from there and went into our big Audi film, the 4.2 V8 movie. The words is tough. The Aluminum Beating Heart was the name of the actual film, and that has brought us so much more success than we had ever even had an inkling to dream up. As of now, it's well over 330,000 views. It's the reason why basically anyone that isn't in our friend group, it's why you would maybe be listening to this podcast or why you might know us. And we thank you for tuning in and showing up to this. So that was 2020, and we posted it January 1st of 2021. And 2021 kind of came and went, and we made a few films. There were some definite setbacks that we wanted to there were other things that we wanted to make that weren't able to see the light of day, but we have some really awesome ideas and plans coming up for 2022. And in the winter months, during this kind of interim that we are currently in right now, I am recording this February 6th at 10:04 p.m., which is a Sunday. So yeah, during these interim months, and with the fact that our channel is actually pulling in, some money, we've actually given it some thought into how to run this and what other supporting facets that we need to have. So the podcast is absolutely one of those things. And at first, the idea was that we would only record and post things when we either had something to say, whether we had a film to promote, whether we had just gotten off of a shoot or something like that. So that was the first idea, and then I had the idea of like, well, what if we just didn't do weekly stuff or three tri-weekly, whatever, 3 times a week, and instead of just doing it basically mostly weekly. So there's that. Currently, at this very second in time, I am kind of hand-holding and leaning the mount against the floor because I don't have a desk mount yet, and I wanted to get this thing done. But my new microphone, and that is on an arm, So that means that we're actually doing a legitimate setup this time and not just a couple dudes on a couch with two different, drastically different microphones. One of them being like a lavalier mic. It was just a hot mess as far as like production quality and sound is concerned. And so we are currently on the hunt for more gear, such as, table and like other mics and mounts and chairs and stuff to set up in Justin's basement rather than my apartment. We'll actually have a proprietary and designated space, which is super exciting to do. So we have that going for us. And in the meantime, to kind of buy us time. Oh, also, kind of a side note, kind of not. So the hosting site that hosted the podcast, that was basically the website that we would upload files to, and it would distribute out to Spotify and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. That website is now defunct. So we are kind of starting up a 2.0. This podcast will be called the Exhibition of Speed Podcast 2.0 until the very last of the RSS feeds have died, because Google Podcast one died, but the Spotify and Apple ones are still around. So kind of how this is going to work is the feed that we're going to be contributing to will be trickling in the old episodes on a weekly basis. Or actually, no, I think the old episodes is going to be bi-weekly, and then the new episodes is just going to be weekly. But there's that. And the old feed will eventually die away. And when that happens, this will just become the Exhibition of Speed podcast. We'll take out the 2.0 part of it. But that's what's going on. It feels really good and almost cathartic, really, just to be talking into a microphone by myself and letting some thoughts flow. So, yeah, thank you for tuning into this. We will be uploading those old episodes shortly. So if you haven't heard them, if you're just new to tuning into what Justin and I have to say in a podcast form, welcome to the shit show. Some old podcasts are a little cringy, so keep that in mind. But yeah, welcome. If you want to, or if you don't know how else to find us, our email is mailbag.eos@gmail.com. You probably found us from YouTube, so I don't really need to plug that as much. But Exhibition of Speed Show on YouTube, in case you're finding us through the podcast realm. And Exhibition of Speed on Instagram. We don't post there as often. That's probably going to change this year. So if you want to find us through there, you can do that as well. Send us a DM. If you have a spicy hot take, send it there. If you have a Track Daily crush in mind, send us a DM on Instagram. And we will see you all later. Thank you for tuning into this. Thank you for sticking around all these years. And thank you for being along for the ride. We'll see you later.